Hello, Morris Baynett, Technical Director at EcoMaster with you once again, and today we're going to talk wall insulation on new products. So maybe you're building yourself an extension to your home, or maybe you're an owner builder building a new place. So what we're going to look at today is fitting wall insulation to internal walls. Now why would you want to do that? So we're standing today in a garage, and here are the internal walls of the garage, between the garage and the home itself. So this is in effect an external wall, because the garage not being in a conditioned space and in there being a conditioned space, we need to insulate these walls. So in order to do that, it's really only 3 steps. The first one is to fit packing strap across this wall so that we can fit the insulation up to the packing strap without the insulation falling through to the other side. Now to do that, we're going to make use of one of these. So this is a hammer tacker. Put staples in the end, and you can just whack it against the stud and that puts a staple in the stud. So that's pretty handy for putting the packing strap across here. So then we're going to put the insulation in, and packing strap, the third and final step is packing strap on the other side so that the insulation is held firmly between the studs. And bear in mind that on building sites sometimes it does get really windy, and so more packing strap is better than less. Okay, also best to do this just before the plasterboard is going to be put on, so they're minimising the risk of the insulation coming out or someone actually dislodging the insulation. So we need to make sure that the electrical rough-in is in, and also the plumbing rough-in, and we're going to fit around all that. Now bear in mind that it's good to cut the insulation around the electrical outlets, so that makes it easier for the Sparky to fit his outlet without pushing the insulation out the other side. The other thing that's really important is to make sure that no insulation is sticking out in front of the studs. Okay, so it must not fit out in front of the studs. Why is that? Because it doesn't take much insulation poking out in order to put a lot of pressure on the plasterboard when the plasterers are putting the plasterboard on. Okay, so what can happen is that they can put the plasterboard on, and then before the stud adhesive sets, the insulation pushes the plasterboard out, and you can end up with bowed out plasterboard, and that's a really expensive mistake because all that's got to come off and be done again. So just make sure that your insulation stays within the studs and doesn't poke out either side. So let's have a go at doing that now. Well, as you can see now, we've completed our wall. The wall between the garage and the inside of the home is fully insulated. We've got the packing strap on both sides of the wall so that the batts are held carefully between them. Even if there's a good wind come through here, these are still going to be in place. Most importantly, there's no waving of the batts. They're not sticking out in front of the stud work, so they're not going to cause the plasterers a problem. Where the stud work is appropriate, we've fitted full batts straight up, and in areas where the studs are a little bit closer, then we've turned the batts and torn them and fitted carefully so that there are no gaps. And we've made cutouts for the power outlets and the light switches so that the electricians can fit off easily when it's their turn. Also, something that you may not have considered is infilling the internal corners. Also quite important to make a complete job of it. So there you have it, insulating a new build garage wall.